On each side of the truck is a long steel bar. It's about a ½ an inch by 2 inches. That starts up here in this corner, goes down under the journal box, goes the whole length of the truck, and comes back up on the other end. It's called a binder bar, and what it does is, if this truck have to be lifted, it will keep the journal boxes from falling out and keep the truck together. It was a very difficult job to get that in place. We had to line up all the bolts here, and because they had been bent over the years, they didn't quite fit, and there's also some slight differences. But we managed to get it all bolted into place, and that is the two on this side. The other two are only fastened at the ends, and we're going to have to drill up underneath because things just don't line up when the car is on the pit. This is outside the rail enough so we'll be able to get a long drill in here and bore up through from the underside and make them fit. Something else that happened recently is we put the last covers, springs that mount the journal box covers on to keep them from, that keeps the journal boxes tight. We were missing some of these springs, but we found some in parts. This is actually part of an LRV, which is a very modern car, probably 80 years newer than this car. But anyway, it's exactly what was there before. We had to make this, there were a couple of these missing also, so we made those. And that holds the journal box on tightly. Now, one of the big jobs which we accomplished was to get the car, started getting the major parts together, and that was installing the motors. I guess I don't have to fasten that on because we're going to sandblast it anyway. All 4 motors are now under the car, and if you look right there, you'll see the wires with the green tags. Those are the motor wires. They come down from the body, and up near the wood are actual connectors. There are 4 screw connectors in with brass tubes with set screws in the side, and then the motors, the lower wires, are what actually go to the motor. Now this car is somewhat easier to run the wires because the motors are mounted what they call inside hung. That is, they are between the wheels and the center or the bolster of the truck. That means when the truck turns, it's only going to move a relatively short distance, maybe a foot in either direction, so we don't have to allow a lot of extra wire. On some cars, the wires come in from the outside, and that means the motor will swing a long distance, and the wires can get hung up on things, and it's very difficult to figure out just how long they are. Now, the connections we made are only temporary, just to see how they go, and then we may end up cutting the motor leads back because they're really probably longer than they need to be, and then we somehow have to bundle them up. We did put some leather straps. It's a little hard to see them here.